What's up guys, Dwayne Richens, Real D2D. So I've had a bunch of people record door-to-door salesmen. And the one thing that they record you for is because many of you say things that are dishonest. For instance, when they say, did the neighbors tell you he's gonna stop by and see you? And the homeowner says, well, which neighbor? And you're like, oh, the Smiths right over there. Guys, do not say that if it wasn't the Smiths. You've gotta be 1,000% transparent so that they trust you from day one. Do not be dishonest, shady, manipulative in any way, or you're not gonna be able to get them to believe you, trust you. Remember, you just knocked on their door and they already don't trust you, so you have to earn that trust. And it's really refreshing when you tell them something brutally honest that they may not want to hear, because it makes them believe you and trust you more. And you can say, hey, a lot of agents would tell you this, but in reality, that's not right. Here's what you need to know, and this is why. And then ask them a question about that and how they feel about that. So as you build rapport, it's one of the biggest things you can do is create trust around who you are, what you do, why you do it, and then help them understand that there are many people out there that will do whatever they can in sales just to be able to get you to say yes. So I'm gonna tell you a story that I had from a homeowner, and I knocked on this door and there was a strong smell of fish from the door. So I'm like, these guys use a wok often. Oftentimes there's families and cultures that cook a lot with fish, and I could smell it from the door. And I knew it was gonna be a hard home to sell just based off of that. They answered the door and I said, hey, did the neighbor say he's gonna come by and see you? And they're like, no. And I was like, do you know such and such family across the street? And I did name drop them because I just sold their home. And they're like, oh yeah, we know that family well. I was like, yeah, I was able to sell their house for this much. I'm like, if you could get that much out of our house, we would be willing to buy. And I says, absolutely. And I says, I'm confident I can. Is yours the same configuration? They're like, no, ours is different. I was like, let me just take a look real quick. So I walked through their home. And the reason I walk through their home, because I typically don't. I usually like to stay out on the porch and do all my closing on the porch. But the reason I walk through this specific house is I want to see the condition. And then as I got towards the end of our conversation, I just said, hey, look, can I be brutally honest with you? And she's like, oh, sure. I says, in order for me to sell this for what I sold your neighbors for, I've got to have a couple things happen. And I says, number one, I've got to have you move out. So I've got to come in and have this professionally cleaned. We've got to get all the grease from the wok off the ceiling. And we're going to have to get rid of some of the smells. So painting, that kind of stuff will help this immensely. And after you guys move out, I only need a week. I'll have this thing sold, and I'll have it sold for the list price. I know that's a hard ask, but you want to make the most money for your house, right? And like, oh, absolutely, absolutely. So what happened in this situation is they went with another agent, someone that told them what they wanted to hear, and they listed the house, and she called me and let me know, hey, I'm not going to go with you. We decided to go with this other agent. She just offered us a little bit different marketing than what you were offering, and didn't say anything about the fact of moving out or not moving out. So what ends up happening, 2 weeks later, she hasn't sold the home. She fires the agent she had. She calls me back and she says, Dwayne, we're ready to use you. Are you still confident you can sell the house? And I says, absolutely. So I made her move out. We painted, and she paid for all the painting. We got the smells out, got it cleaned up, and we went ahead and put it on the market. I sold it for over list price within 3 days, and it was amazing. She was grateful. And she thanked me. She said, I'm sorry that I went with the other person. I didn't want to have to do what you told me to do. And she said, you were just being brutally honest. And sometimes, you guys, that's what it takes. Be brutally honest with people. But that being said, I then helped her boyfriend sell his house, and I helped them buy a $900,000 house. And so in the grand scheme of things, this was over a $2 million transaction between 3 homes. And it was all because I was brutally honest, I was transparent, I explained my expertise and why, and I helped them make the decisions that they needed to make in order to make the most money for their house. So people, make sure you're brutally honest, even when you think they're not gonna like it. Even if you think that's gonna cause them to walk away from you. It's okay. Because when you're confident enough to know that you don't just need this deal, you've got plenty more in the pipeline, you're working hard enough, you can get more deals, you don't get so scarcity mindset that you're gonna say whatever you have to say and sound desperate and willing to give anything that they want just to get a listing. But to give you one more example real quick, I had a house down on the lake here in Utah that I showed up, custom builder, very beautiful home, and he put tons and tons of extras in this house. And my comps were $150,000 less than what he wanted out of the house. And so I didn't even pull my comps out as we started talking. So I was like, hey, what do you want out of this house? And he told me, I was like, ooh, man, there's no way we're getting this, right? And when we got down to it, I just told him, I says, hey, I want to be brutally honest with you. There is no comps out there. Even if I can sell it for the price you want, it's not gonna appraise, and it's gonna bring the purchase price down. I'm happy to list it, and I know I can get you more than any other agent out there. I know I'll market in different places and do different things that no one else will. But getting that price for this home is gonna be extremely, extremely hard. You're gonna have a cash buyer. He's like, I knew that. He's like, I appreciate that you're that blunt and brutally honest with me. He's like, let's go ahead and list it. And I said, okay, just know the more days on market it sits, the harder it's gonna be to sell as well. And I charge a $1,500 cancellation fee. If it doesn't sell and you decide to pull it off the market, there is a fee that I'm going to charge. But I said it's not going to appraise, and there is a $1,500 cancellation fee that you're gonna have to pay out for my time and efforts putting this thing on the market, getting pictures, all of that. I said, so if you're willing to do that, I'm happy to get it on the market. And what ended up happening is we got a cash buyer that came out of California and was willing to pay $40,000 less than what our list price was, without an appraisal, without inspection, and he took it. And I sold the house, and it forced his hand to go build another one. These are the experiences, my friends, that you want to have. Be brutally honest, be blunt, be transparent, and then go win those listings. If you can do that, you're gonna win every time. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you watching.